Machu Picchu is a stunning example of the Incas' engineering feats. The Inca constructed Machu Picchu's palaces, temples, terraces, and infrastructure using stone.
High in the skies of Peru is a city that never should have been. For more than a century, Machu Picchu was referred to as a palace, a fortress, a temple. But what if we have all wrong? In 2025, researchers discovered a secret buried beneath its stones for 500 years. And once you hear it, you'll never look at this wonder the same way again. Stay with me, because the final revelation will shock you. The century of confusion Yale professor Hiram Bingham cut his way through the thick bush of the Andes in 1911 and found ruins that shocked the whole world. The city seemed to resist gravity because it was built on a very thin ridge 430 meters above sea level. Terraces protruded over rocks. Temples gazed over precipitous drops, and stone walls went up straight out of the clouds. Outside, it appeared not to have been altered in any way, as if time had passed it by. Bingham believed he had discovered the mythical, lost city of the Incas, but the Quechua inhabitants who dwelled there had never forgotten. But even from the beginning, the site asked more questions than it provided answers. Machu Picchu was not linked to the other areas of the kingdom by broad roads, as the other Inca towns were. There were no indications of crowded trading lines, populous markets, or extensive family neighborhoods. Its gardens were lovely, but they were too small to provide food for masses. It did not seem like a bustling city, so much as it seemed like a stone-cut puzzle. This paradox was difficult for specialists to fathom. Why did the Incas construct a stunning edifice in a location so remote and perilous? The hill that it sits on is unstable and thin, with cliffs falling nearly 500 meters down to the Urubamba River on all sides. The hills surrounding are rocky and steep and are not suitable for large-scale agriculture. The decision was illogical for a kingdom that was also very good at logistics and was famous for being efficient. The tale became even more bizarre in the course of the 20th century. Temples were also ideally aligned with solstices and the cycles of the moon. The walls were so narrow that even a blade of grass could not slip through the openings. Everything indicated that the ceremony was important, yet nothing provided the answer to the big question: why were they there? Rather than clarify, the study created more confusion. Bingham's discovery made things more confusing. He removed hundreds of artifacts to Yale, and a dispute over ownership took 99 years to resolve. Describing the place as discovered contributed to a Western narrative that obscured indigenous memory. Foreign assumptions about the narrative were more significant than local knowledge. Machu Picchu's identity was defined from the beginning by what foreigners in other countries believed about it. Geography turned the paradox even greater. Machu Picchu and Huayna Picchu are two pointed mountains that tower above the city. The city lies on a ridge created by the river's continuous flow. The roads that led there twisted through dense cloud forests and rocky hills. It lacked any significant trade routes like the capital Cusco had. In a world that was relation-based, the location appeared to be designed to be challenging. Being that remote presented real issues. Providing food, equipment, and stone to workers must have been a nightmare. The cuttings into the side of the hill could be cultivated some crops, but not nearly enough to support thousands of people residing there year-round. Transporting massive blocks of rock without the aid of wheels or horses added to the achievement. Machu Picchu was impossible from a practical standpoint. It was also obvious what the danger was. There is nearly 2,000 millimeters of rain annually in the region, which results in flooding and erosion. There is no margin for error because the cliffs dropped away in vertical plunges. If you fall on the trails, you might die. Rain undermined foundations and destabilized even the best-conceived steps. In all respects, this was not a spot where a city should be constructed. There is evidence for this in archaeology. Machu Picchu does not appear to have been occupied year-round. Many of the bones discovered are workers' and servants' bones, rather than family groups. This is where it seems like the region was not a permanent city center. Its risk and isolation make it appear as though it was created for something else. Why construct here otherwise if it was not beneficial? The Inca were awesome at planning. They could coordinate tens of thousands of laborers and construct roads across land that would not under other circumstances allow them to. They did not waste anything. Machu Picchu didn't appear so much like a mistake as it did like something that was done on purpose, though for some unknown reason. What if the rocks below Machu Picchu have an older and weirder story to tell than the ruins that tourists climb every year? The 2025 breakthrough. Archaeologists and academics have been searching for cultural significance in the temples, terraces, and stonework of Machu Picchu for over 100 years. But when the geologists stepped in to join the research in 2025, things took a new turn. Brazilian scientist Rualdo Menegat led the project using equipment that is commonly employed to research earthquakes. They did not inquire about who constructed the city and why. Rather, they asked what was happening beneath the surface. That single change in perspective unraveled puzzles that had been puzzling experts for decades. Geologists searched for geological explanation, and archaeologists examined artifacts. They observed the rock beneath the city and how it shifted. From space photographs, they discovered fault lines that were concealed. Ground-penetrating radar revealed what lay beneath, and electrical resistivity tested how electricity passed through fissures. They could visualize inside the mountain's core using a method called muon tomography, which employs cosmic rays to image. Each approach resulted in the same finding. Not only does Machu Picchu rest upon a mountain, but it also rests in the area where two gigantic earthquake systems converge, creating an enormous natural X. It wasn't accidental. Science was now proposing that for the first time that the Incas might have selected this location due to the fissures rather than because they didn't care for it. Engineers today regard fault lines as indications of risk. The Incas had opportunities. The natural X was more than a marker. Cracks created routes that allowed rainwater to run through the mountain. And that's how the city's renowned drainage system continues to function. The Incas didn't battle rivers. They employed the crevices in the mountains as pipes. Hard rains that could have destroyed the site washed it away without damage, leaving foundations and terraces that will remain for centuries. The weakness of the rock became its strength. The same natural combination can be observed in stonework. Many blocks weren't transported from afar. They were shattered right off the broken bedrock beneath. Natural fractures made seams available to use, which facilitated easier cutting of large granite stones. The stones of the mountain permitted a smart utilization of what appeared to be hard labor. The ground itself offered both material and technique. Even sacred structures were full of such cracks. Some structures were constructed along fault lines, as if they were charting.